Hello and welcome, and thank you for joining me. I wanted to celebrate Pride Month with a panel of aces, and Junk Shop is not an ace. He is our sorry.
Are you sure you started it?
What?
Oh, there we go. Sorry.
Junk Shop is our moderator, and okay, did I start?
I don't think I got the beginning of your intro. Whatever.
Okay, I'll start the intro over because I don't think that we went live when I started on the intro. So hello and welcome, and thank you everyone for coming. Joe C is in the audience again. So Joe C, if you would like to join the stream, you are more than welcome. We would love to have you. So just post whether or not you would like to join the stream. And if you would, Junk Shop will get in touch with you and get you a link so you can join the stream as well, because we would definitely love to have you. I was trying to think of something that I would like to do for Pride Month this year, and I decided it would be kind of fun to do a stream of aces, especially since a lot of people don't even know what aces are, and that we are considered part of the Pride community, even though I myself don't really consider myself part of it, although I really should, and I probably should join in more. So, you know, that's something I will probably work on. But possibly part of that is I really don't know a lot of aces, and so I went searching through all kinds of ace groups, looking for as many as I could, and I invited about 8 or 10 of them to the panel, but I couldn't get a hold of very many people. And
streams are hard to coordinate short notice.
Right. And of course, a lot of people are busy, and there's so many streams going on, and people are all doing stuff. So I do have Robin here.
Yeah, and though you cannot see it, I put my name as Ace of Stealing Hearts because I am that cheesy. The funniest joke I will come up with all night, so I'm going to repeat it more than once.
And Junk Shop Library is here too, and Junk Shop is our moderator. Junk Shop, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I run a YouTube channel where we look at the King James Bible through an atheist lens. I myself am not ace. I'm in fact quite the opposite, pansexual. But I'm just here to try to keep things moving and keep an eye on the chat and try to figure out how to send links, which I can't figure out how to do from here. I'm on mobile as part of my problem.
Yeah, it probably would be best if Josie gives you her Twitter handle and friend her on Twitter and send her the link on Twitter. That's the way I've done it. Because you don't really want to post the link in the chat.
Oh, heck no.
Yeah. Okay, Robin, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm ace, pan-romantic, possibly a romantic, honestly. Not really sure. Just never really been into any of the concepts.
Okay.
I have a Twitter. I don't post things on it.
Robin is also a trans man.
Oh yeah, that too.
And
I
Robin,
everyone in the chat knows that by now.
There's a couple
going on about that a lot
that are new. Yeah, most of the people here know you, but there's a couple of people that are new here. Robin is also my son. So we're actually even in the same house. And there is somebody else that was supposed to be here that I don't know if she is running late or what. Maybe she misunderstood the time. We have issues with time zones all the time, and I have no idea where she is. So I hope she gets here, and I hope we can get some more into the panel, but we shall see. In the meantime, just a little bit about what it means to be ace. People who are asexual. We are not attracted to anybody. We're kind of the opposite of bisexual.
We're the opposite of pan.
Okay, opposite of pan. And there is a tremendous spectrum for aces. Some people who are ace do have libido. They do have feelings of sexuality. They just don't have them toward any particular person. And they don't find any particular group of people attractive. The romance and sexuality also are two different things, because a person can be very into romance, but not into sex. And Robin, didn't you describe yourself as being pan-romantic, or?
Yeah, I'm very much romantically into everyone, but that doesn't really go past wanting to cuddle.
Okay. Now, for me, in one sense, I've only known that I was ace for probably, a little less than a year. And in another sense, I've known that I was ace since high school. And the reason I say that is because I'd never heard of asexuality myself until a year ago. And when I heard of it, I asked, well, what's that? And when they described it, I said, oh, well, that's me to a T. And some of the earliest signs of it were when I was in high school, it was before Prince Charles had married Lady Di. And all of the girls were just so into Prince Charles. They wanted Prince Charles' attention. I'm going to be Prince Charles' wife. And when Prince Charles announced his engagement to Lady Di, all the girls were, oh no, this is terrible. And I didn't care because I didn't give a hoot about Prince Charles. I had one friend in particular who was a real, I guess you'd call her very emotional, and she tended to be rather dramatic, and so she had this whole plan of how Prince Charles was going to get tired of Lady Di in 5 years, and then she was going to be Prince Charles' mistress. The second clue I had was I did a lot of debate and speech tournaments when I was in high school. And there was a speech coach from one of the other high schools. I don't remember which one. I don't remember his name. The girls were all absolutely gaga over this guy. And I just looked at him one day and said, I don't see what the... I don't understand this. What? He's a guy. Big deal. He's a teacher. He's too old for us. I just totally didn't get it. The first sexual feelings I ever had came from reading the book Jaws.
What? Like the shark?
Yes. There's a scene very early in the book where Jody gets in the truck with the sheriff. I don't remember who she's in the truck with, but they have this very sexy talk in the restaurant before they get in the truck, and he suggests that she take off her panties before they get in the truck, and then they're describing what he's doing with her. And I actually get more out of reading erotic literature than I do anything else. Pornography completely turns me off. I think it's disgusting. And it's interesting. I can watch a woman dancing and start getting turned on, but if she takes her clothes off, then I'm completely turned off.
That's fascinating.
I have a very narrow window of where I'm turned off, and you go just a little bit past that point, and that's it. I'm done. Not interested anymore.
Want to hear my experience, or are you done? Not done.
I'm going to go a little bit more, and then
Okay,
then
sorry.
jump in.
Sure.
One of the things that I've always been very into is muscles. I like looking at a guy with big muscles, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Stallone, The Rock, Vin Diesel. But the idea of dating one of those guys, not on your life. I'd be terrified of a guy that big. But I just like looking at the muscles. I don't find them sexually attractive. I just appreciate the effort that it takes and the work that it takes to build that up. And so, I don't have a lot of romantic feelings. I don't have a lot of sexual feelings. I do occasionally feel a little bit of libido, but not very often, and it's really easy to turn it back off with me. So it's quite difficult. Robin, let's listen to your experiences.
Yeah, I'm obviously not going to go into as much detail. Man, I thought I was the king of having no shame. Take my title. So I just, my main thing is like I would feel attracted to guys and girls, but mostly guys, and we'd start dating, and I would feel so much pressure because I was like, oh no, what if they want to kiss me or do anything other than just like holding hands and doing things together, because I'm really uncomfortable with that. And it made me so uncomfortable dating anyone because I just was constantly like, I don't want to disappoint them, but I don't want to do anything and just want to hang out and hold hands. And I didn't realize that that was a feeling that other people had and that there was a term for it and that there was probably someone else out there that hopefully will feel the same. My experience with NSFW content is I tend to read a lot of it, but mostly just because I don't ever get embarrassed by anything in it. And so I can just be like, oh, this is a good story. I can just ignore that there's a lot of weird stuff happening. Like once it gets to like actual hardcore banging, I have to stop. But I read really terrible anime. I have read all of Monster Musume multiple times, and if anyone knows what that is, they know there's a lot of boobs in that. But it's decent story. It has decent characters, and I can get through the stupid scenes just to enjoy the characters. And I do the same thing with fan fiction. I read a ton of awful fan fiction just because I'm like, I like the way this author does characters, and I can ignore the fact that they're writing smut to look at the characters.
Okay.
After I realized I was ace, I pretty much gave up on real people, though I still just find everyone attractive, and I'm just like, I look at so many people, I'm like, oh man, I just want to cuddle with them and watch a movie. Share video games.
And that's very common with aces, that aces don't necessarily want to be loners. A lot of us do like to have relationships with people. We just, some prefer a completely platonic relationship, and other people would like a relationship where there is some touching. It's just not a very sexual touching. Personally, I don't like being touched much. Being touched has always been an issue with me, mostly because I've been in some jobs where occasionally people would touch me that it wasn't inappropriate, but I just didn't like it. And I never knew how to say, knock it off, please, without being offensive. And so I usually just would grin and bear it. Specifically, I used to be a claims adjuster. And there was a time when I was out, looking at a house that was damaged, and I was with a contractor, and the contractor was going over with me what he thought the house needed. And he kept taking his hand and patting my shoulder, not inappropriate, but on the other hand, I just didn't like it. I didn't want to offend him, so I just didn't say anything. And the whole time we're there, I'm just like, would you please quit touching me?
Well, I definitely inherited that from you. We were at church one time, and apparently, like, the back of my dress was unzipped, and this woman just kind of like grabbed onto me and like started zipping. She's like, "Oh, I need to fix your dress for you, sweetie." And I was just like stock still, and I was just, in my head, I was just over and over, "Please stop touching me! Please stop touching me!" And I was even saying it out loud, but I was whispering it because I was really uncomfortable. And it felt like it took an hour for her to finish adjusting my friggin' dress, and then she finally let go, and I was like, oh my goodness. And there was this one time I did this acting thing, and there was this one scene where every single time we did this scene, my best friend's younger brother would clamp his arm around my shoulder in a threatening manner, which sort of fit the scene, but I was very uncomfortable. And one time we're doing the scene, and so I made sure to step as far away from him as possible. This dude starts chasing me around. We are performing in front of people, and he is chasing me around the stage, because he wants to freaking clamp his arm on me, and I'm just like, please leave. No. Ugh. I am fine with touching, but I have to be very close to you to be cool with it.
Mama Atheist says that BoJack Horseman represented aces very well. I am not familiar with BoJack Horseman. Are you?
It's a cartoon. I've been meaning to watch it. I hear it's good, but I also hear it's kind of depressing. So I'm not sure if you would like it. I'm not sure if that's your thing, but it's known to be like really good and tackle commentary really well. I knew they had an ace character. I think there was also one in that Netflix show, like Sex Ed, whatever that show's called, but she got like one episode. She wears a beanie. She's cute.
Have you watched it, Junk Shop?
I have. It is quite good. To say that it's depressing is kind of like calling the Pacific Ocean kind of a lot of water. It's a heavy show.
Oh, okay. What's the theme about?
Mental illness and substance abuse. If I had to boil it down, the shtick of the show is that the main character has the head of a horse and is a washed-up TV star from the 90s, and he's sort of resting on his laurels and trying to reclaim his glory days.
Okay, I don't know if you're doing this for anyone else, but you're like echoing. Oh crud, I'm echoing too.
You're echoing too.
Why is everyone echoing? What have we done? Mom, do you have like a thing near you? Or?
I have my iPad, but it's oh, here. I think
Near you. Or? So it's definitely not my phone.
there. Is that better?
Is it? It seems to be. Yep, that was it. Whatever you just closed.
I had oh, somebody's here. Here we go.
Yeah.
Ooh, fun.
Contrarian is here.
Sorry.
You're fine. We've just been talking about our experience of being Ace and BoJack Horseman.
Yep, we just we finished some introductions and we talked a little bit about what it means to be Ace, and we talked a little bit about when we first knew that we were Ace.
You can see my full joke name now. Yes.
Cartoon Contrarian is the guest that we've been waiting for to come here. There's another person that was in the chat, and her name is Joe C, and we're looking to see if we can possibly get her into the panel as well. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, there's a number of people that I invited into this to try to get a good panel going, but aces are hard to find.
we are a unique group. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Now, Robin is also transgender, and Robin is my son. So we've got two aces in one family. And Junk Shop is here because he is moderating for us. He's helping watch the chat for us for any interesting questions we might want to address. And he's going to help us, just stimulate our thought process so we can just keep going. So, Cartoon, is that the name you want to go by?
Yeah, that's the YouTube channel I'm working on getting together. So
okay, very good. And do you have any content up yet?
I don't. I am. It's a long story. I've just moved and just between that and getting my studio set up, which, as you can see, is a work in progress, very much so.
Okay.
I haven't had a chance to get the videos that I've been working on finished. Okay.
But once you do, you'll get it going.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've been a huge cartoon nerd my entire life, from old school Studio Ghibli to Steven Universe to like Disney, DreamWorks, yada yada yada. So like, I'm looking forward to having contrarian opinions on all of them.
Oh, that sounds fun. I love cartoons and cartoon review shows.
So you say you've just moved into a new place?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I just moved to Montana.
Oh, nice. I was thinking about asking, but I didn't want to ask something you weren't information you weren't comfortable giving out. So,
Montana's a big state, so
it is a big state. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wait, real quick. I didn't want to reveal information you're not cool with giving out. Says the person who revealed my pica eating habits the last stream. Excuse you.
What are mothers for?
True.
So, Cartoon Contrarian, can you relate to us your experiences as an ace?
Okay, so in middle school and high school, I just sort of thought that like it would have like that eventually I'd figure it out. Like I just hadn't met the one yet. And come college, I'm like, okay, so is this thing on? And so I was like, okay, so I am equally uninterested in everyone, so I guess I'm bi. And so I identified as bi until I was very far out of college. And then all of a sudden I was like, wait a second, this doesn't make any sense at all. Why am I calling myself bi? I don't give a heck about anybody. And then so I went online and I researched, and all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, there are people like me. I'm not weird. Well, I'm still weird, just not that weird. So I was, I all of a sudden I'm finding out that there are asexual people out there, and that it's not as uncommon as I thought it was. Like it's still a subsect of a subsect, but that I'm not alone. And I found all of these wonderful groups. I found some wonderful Facebook groups, mostly involving cats. And apparently a lot of asexual people like cats.
Cat food, feels like.
And yeah, like that's sort of the long and short of it.
Just curious, because this story sounds like mine. Did you ever Google anything weird, like how do I get a libido? How to tell if your brain's working?
Yes, I did. And I was like, please, somebody show me how to do this, because I don't know what's wrong. Like I went on diets. I went on I took like all of these supplements that are supposed to increase libido. Like I was trying like everything. I had a boyfriend, and he was a wonderful individual. Like if for whatever reason he ends up finding this, I don't think he will, but if he does, and he sees me on here, he was a wonderful individual, and like if I was gonna fall for anybody, it would have been him. But
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh no, that was sort of the end of the thought. It just sort of.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. I just think it's so funny because I Googled so many things that I'm just looking back and I was like, oh man, I wish I could have just admitted I was ace, but I'm glad I'm not alone in that.
I wish I'd known that ace was a thing. Like I'm turning 34 next month, and like I knew about gay, I knew about lesbians, I knew about bisexual people, I knew about pansexual people. Like I know a lot of people now who are like, wait, pansexual, what is that? And like I knew about that way back like when I was like 13 or 14 years old. And I knew about transgender people, but like, and I knew about most of the alphabet soup, but I didn't know that ace was a thing. As far as I was aware, A in LGBTQIA stood for ally. And I was
I mean, it technically did for a while. Now it's kind of shared.
Yeah, now there are a whole bunch of us sharing that A.
Yeah. A stands for and everyone else.
That is not untrue.
And also, to be fair, I mean, there's a lot of ace erasure in cultures. Like, if you go to anyone who talks about ace pride, there's always a bunch of people in the comments like, ace people shouldn't claim to be part of LGBT. And even if they're not even fully, like, ace people don't exist, they're like, well, they still shouldn't be called themselves
You're just
LGBT.
straight adjacent. You're fine. Like,
Yeah.
like, stop it. Just, yeah. No,
The one thing that I really enjoy about being ace is dealing with homophobes. Because when the homophobes start saying, if you are part of the LGBTQ plus community, you are sinning against God. And I say, I'm ace. Please tell me what I am doing that is sinning against God.
yeah, no, I'm practically a nun. Like, come on, guys. Like,
I don't make more babies, and that's your womanly Christian duty is to make more babies.
yeah.
It doesn't matter that you can't anymore.
Yeah. No, and like, it mostly just amuses me because I'm like, oh dear, sweetie, darling. People still, like, granted, I'm one of the ace people who, like, I'm sort of on the aromantic spectrum as well. So I've already got my 3 cats, so I'm definitely going to end up being the crazy cat lady. But like, people still are trying to, like, hook me up with people. Like, when people in this little town I've moved to, when they all found out I was single, they're like, we're gonna set you up with my son, and I'm like, no, you're not.
Well, I am married, and I have been married for 37 years to the same guy, and he is the only guy I have ever had sex with. And I didn't know what asexual was until, like I said, a year ago. And if somebody had told me back when I was in college that it's okay to be ace, I might not have gotten married, and Robin would never have been born. So
Hey,
good
news.
What'd you say?
Oh, it would have been great for both of us.
No, I would have definitely missed you, Robin. You are the light of my life.
Aww. Nice.
Cartoon Contrarian, one of the things that we were talking about before you got here is Robin and I were both talking about how we feel about being touched. And both of us have a lot of aversion to being touched. I'm okay with someone touching my hands, but that's about it. You know, I definitely do not like anyone touching my arms, my shoulders, anything else. How do you feel about being touched?
So I am a big hugger.
Okay.
I love getting hugs. I love giving hugs. Like, and that's, I have the unfortunate side effect of being friends with a lot of people who hate being touched. So I am a hugger without a cause. So I'm one of those people. I love hugging people, but I also really, really respect boundaries. So, like, if I'm around people and I know they don't like to be touched, I am very cognizant of that. So, like, a lot of what I do is, like, when I first meet somebody, I do ask what they're okay with. Because I am such a big hugger, and if you don't tell me that you don't like being touched, like, platonically and sort of casually, then I'm going to make you uncomfortable, and I don't like doing that.
Okay, you bring up a really good point, because I actually do like hugging, but only with consent. If somebody asks me if it's okay to hug me, I am all for it. But what bugs me is when somebody comes up and gives me a hug and doesn't ask first.
Yeah, and I love hugging people. It's just I can't stand touching my shoulders. Like, honestly, if someone just randomly came up to me and hugged me, I probably wouldn't even mind that much. But if they came up and put their arm around my shoulder, I'd be trying to punch them.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely feel that with I had a lot of friends who didn't like hugging. I came up with the like long distance friendship pat for people who don't like it. It's where you kind of like mime patting their shoulder, you do it from like across the room, so they know you're with them and you're like touching them in a platonic way. Like, I'm with you, but I respect that you do not want me to physically touch you.
That's actually, I really like that idea. I think that's really a really good idea.
It's really weird. Like, you would think that it'd just look awkward, but it actually kind of feels nice because it makes them feel really respected and happy, and still like you're trying to be with them in solidarity.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I've actually like I've had friends who have gone through like horrible breakups or the death of a family member or the death of a pet or something like that, and I'm like, the only way I know how to comfort you is to hug you. And I don't, so I'm sort of like, I'm like the long distance comfort pat. Like, I just like, that's the only way I know you don't like to be touched, really. So like, but the only way I know how to comfort people is to touch them. So I'm like, but yeah.
Yeah.
I think Aunt Jer has it right. You know, Aunt Jer says maybe you just need a warning, like you have to mentally prepare it. And Aunt Jer, I think you're absolutely right. I think that's what it is if I'm ready for it, yeah. And I guess the other thing is really it's a big part of it is a control issue. Is I really don't like other people using touch to make me feel out of control. And I think part of that is there was a really creepy guy at a church that we went to in another state before we moved to Alabama. There were 6 women that reported to the pastor that he had either spoken to them inappropriately or touched them inappropriately. And you know, they had this big thing of he went through a church discipline and then he was welcomed back into the fellowship. And when he was, I reached out my hand to shake his hand, but instead of shaking my hand, he pulled my arm and pulled me into a full frontal hug. And I really didn't want to hug this guy. For one thing, this guy was 3 times my size.
Wow.
I am 5'1". You know who I'm talking about.
I don't know if I met him.
Oh, yes, you do. He was your Sunday school teacher.
Wait, Mr. Lee? Oh, I forgot it was Mr. Lee.
No, not Mr. Lee. Not Bible teacher. Sunday school.
I didn't know Mr. Lee. I forgot his name. I thought his name was Mr. Lee. The guy
no,
who
Mr. Bill. Mr. Bill.
Yeah.
Anyway, he was over 300 pounds.
Oh,
and at the time, I was 120 pounds. And so, yeah, he was 3 times my size. So, you know, there was no way to resist him. So I did the only thing I could do, which is I dropped my head so that he couldn't pull my whole body into himself. And he just pulled my head into his stomach and held me there for quite some time in front of the entire church. And nobody said anything and nobody did anything. And I think that is a big part of the reason why I get so aversive about people touching me without asking first. And he was like that with a lot of things. You know, anytime he would shake your hand, if you know, I would try to pull my arm back and he would hold on. He just wouldn't let go. And I just didn't want anything to do with the guy.
Oh, gosh, I still feel bad about having semi-fond memories about that guy. Ugh. Glad
he was
I didn't
nice
grow
to the
up.
little kids. He was really nice to young children. But yeah, he was pretty creepy.
Man, and I thought I won with my story of I had this guy that would chase me around. We were on stage and he would chase me around to put his arm around me on this one scene, and we're in front of a group of people and I am just running around in circles around the stage like, can we not do this, please? That guy was like a foot taller than me, and he's 2 years younger.
For me, the biggest issue of go ahead, Junk Shop, what you got? You got a question?
But we finally got I connected with the person we've been talking to in the chat.
True.
We finally found each other on Twitter.
Wonderful.
Yay.
I've got the link headed.
More
this way.
aces.
So Josie
We need a
should be
full deck.
joining us soon. Okay, that will be great. The one thing as an ace that I fear more than anything else, and I'm secure and don't have to worry about this so much because I'm married, is I worry about men that when they hear you are ace, saying, oh, your problem is that you just haven't found the right guy, and I will show you that you aren't really ace.
Oh, corrective rape.
Yeah.
The fact that is
the
even a
one thing
word
that
that is used.
I
Commonly.
think, or, sorry.
Sorry, you first.
Thankfully, I haven't had to deal with that myself. I know some people that has happened to, and it makes me want to do terrible things to them in Minecraft. Not to the person to whom it happened, of course, but the people who did it to them. But I kind of, in retrospect, I kind of did that to myself. Because I had to sort of, like, when I had my boyfriend and he was very interested, but I was not. And so I would sort of have to just leave myself for a little bit so that he could do what he needed to do. And that was not the most fun thing for me.
Yeah, I'm glad I figured out I was ace early.
Yeah. Although like I said, the one thing I fear for you is, having to protect yourself against that. And I put up a comment there from B who said that she has experienced that from men for years, even though B is not ace, but she still gets that from men. And I am so sorry that you have had to experience that, B. That is awful.
Yeah, me too. I'm
Oh,
really sorry you had to deal with that.
Hello.
How are you?
I am good. And you?
I am fine. Hey, we now have 4 aces. That was our goal, was to get 4 aces. So Robin is the ace of hearts. Cartoon, which ace would you like to be?
Spades, I think.
Okay, spades. Joe, which ace would you like to be?
Diamonds.
Diamonds. Okay, so I am the ace of clubs. I kind of wanted to be the ace of clubs. Okay, Joe,
We got the whole deck.
tell us about how you came to realize that you were ace and what it feels like to be ace for you. Are you there, Joe? Oh, Joe's stream is
Sexual
Oh,
attraction.
boy.
Okay.
Joe has a bad connection.
Yep.
Oh.
I thought that was me for a second. I was like, oh, do I need to move? But nope.
Well, I was going to say Joe is junk shopping. Yep, B said it too, junk shopping. Junk shop has occasionally had problems with internet, and so it has become a verb to say that when someone is having internet problems that they're junk shopping.
Oh, goodness.
Joe, you know what might be best? I'm going to go ahead and remove you from the stream. Try refreshing your computer and then come back again, and we'll get you back in again. We would love to have you, but unfortunately, you're just not coming through. So try refreshing and coming back, and we'll try again.
Well, hopefully this works. We need a full deck.
Yes,
Yep.
we do need a full deck of aces.
There we go. Okay, Joe is back. Okay, Joe, let's try again.
Hello.
Woo!
Is this
There
better?
We can work now.
That sounds much better.
Yes. we can
Okay.
hear you now.
Yay!
Um,
Luckily, we missed the whole story, so don't have to worry about picking it up from
gosh.
anywhere.
I realized I was ace when I just like hadn't experienced any, sexual attraction. I had experienced romantic attraction, but what people had described as like sexual attraction just wasn't something that applied to me. And I don't know where to go from there. That's
Okay. One of the things. Well, okay. Let's start with age. How old were you when you first realized you were ace, and did you find out what aces were, and then look back on your experience and say, "Oh yeah, I've always been that way," or did you know what ace was, fairly early?
So I discovered I was ace earlier this year, or last year, I should say. Like at the beginning of last year, and I had always been like exposed to all of this. I first identified as bi because you have
So
the
many
same. Actually, did you know that the bisexual community used to accept aces because of like its equal attraction to both genders? That used to be
Neat.
I was
didn't
not
know
aware of
that.
that.
We got kicked out of the LGBT community myself.
Yeah.
The friggin' ace peers.
Yeah. And then while we're talking about a spectrum, like I also identify as agender, so I go by they them pronouns and
Oh yeah, I saw the NBI thing. Yeah.
NB, yeah.
NB, sorry. Pronunciation.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
I was always like part of the groups that were like queer and stuff. I use queer. I don't know if anyone's offended by that in this, but yeah.
One of the things that we talked about was your feelings about being touched, and we have a different spectrum there. How do you feel about being touched?
Well, I don't know if being touched so much has to do with my sexuality, because I have another disorder that would, not that being ace is a disorder, but I have a disorder that would affect that. But, so I don't like being touched, but that's probably sensory stuff. So.
Okay. Charlie has joined the stream, and Charlie says that he is your brother, Cartoon.
Oh, yes, I tried to send him the link to so he could watch this, but
okay, he grabbed the link so he could get into the show.
oops,
Wrong link.
my bad.
Okay, I'll take you back out of the show then.
You should probably send him. Oh, I was gonna say you should send him the YouTube link to your channel.
Yeah, well, no, he knows about my YouTube channel, but
my mom's
to
YouTube
this
channel
channel.
is being claimed.
I don't know how I would have sent him the real link.
Yeah, you go to Godless Granny's channel. It's streaming right now.
Okay.
Well, he must have the link because I thought I saw him in. Well, maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Can you put the link to? Well, no, that wouldn't do any good, would it?
Yeah, it wouldn't help. I was gonna say to send him the link to your YouTube thing before you kicked him, but
I've got him on my Discord, so don't worry about it.
okay, sweet.
Okay.
So I can. In that case, it might actually be good to. Well, no, not send it to the chat. I can send it to the computer thing. Give me a sec.
Oh, nope, I found you.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, there aren't too many Godless Grannies on YouTube.
No.
The computer thing. Give me a sec.
Yep.
No, I found you. Oh, sweet. Oh, crud. There's. Oh, wait. Oh, that was probably my. Yeah, that was probably my thing opening in another
All right,
tab.
there we go.
Okay.
All right, all fixed.
Whew.
Oops, sorry.
Nope, no problem. No problem. Added a little bit of excitement for a few minutes.
Yep.
Okay, let's look to the chat for just a bit. Is there anyone in the chat who has any questions for anyone on the panel?
Oh, yeah,
Or-
ace questions.
Yeah, any questions about what it means to be ace or what it feels like to be ace?
Yeah, because I know a lot of people tend to get confused because they're like, how do you just not feel this way? And it's just the straight answer is you just don't.
Yeah, one of the areas where I feel kind of awkward is sometimes when I'm doing critical questions with Dave. A lot of sexual things will come up, and I'm just sitting there going, okay. And I don't have a problem with it. It doesn't bother me or anything, but I just can't relate.
Oh, yeah, I sometimes have a problem because some things make me really uncomfortable, but it's hard to see where the line is. So I'll just be making sexual jokes with everyone else, and then somebody will say something, and I'm just like, let's stop talking about this now.
My biggest problem, because I am very much I'm very insular in myself, but like my biggest thing is like when I go to a movie or something, and like I can like within like a nanosecond see just how shoehorned in the romantic subplot is, and like everyone else is like, wasn't this moment so great? And I'm like, no, this was not required at all. This part is totally like, you could cut this out and it would be fine. The movie does not need this.
Yeah, that's why I never watched Game of Thrones. I watched maybe 30, 40 minutes of the first episode, and this is just sex. I'm not interested.
I really liked Game of Thrones personally, but you know, I do totally see what you're saying, and like, yeah, it was like, I don't know, I didn't really have an issue with it, with the exception of a few scenes that were like really not okay, but it didn't really bug me. But I'm also like one of those sword aces, so like all of those named swords and like everything, I have 3D printers, so I 3D printed out all of the swords because like
Wait, that's
Cool.
big.
that was like,
Aces? That's
What?
neat. I need a sword.
I need a sword as well.
You have swords.
Yeah, but I don't have ace swords.
oh no,
I need more swords.
It's something I saw on some ace forum or other, like, okay, everybody, we're all ace here. How many of us have swords? And it was just sort of like, and everybody was like, yeah, I've got a few.
Is this just something you can borrow one of
Apparently
my
it's something we do.
because I have 3 swords.
Yeah, I have a lot of swords.
I'm going to be getting fencing lessons soon.
Rock on. That's awesome.
Real quick, I got a question in the chat from Julie. How do my classmates feel about me being trans and ace? Well, the trans thing hasn't come up in any classes yet since I haven't been back to school. But I am a loner to the max, so I have not figured out how to interact with anyone in any of my classes. I do not know how to talk to people, so I haven't figured out. Though I did end up telling one girl that I was ace because she said she was ace, and I was like semi-hitting on her, and that was fun. But other than that, I do not know how to talk to people, so I've never told anyone aside from that one person that I was ace, and I haven't been trans long enough to even go to a class being trans.
We've got a question from Aunt. Well, yep, there we go.
Yeah, Aunt Jer has asked, what situations have you run into that surprised you that being ace was a problem? Like maybe you thought, how does ace matter? How does being ace matter here? Anyone want to handle that one first?
I haven't really had any experience with that too much, aside from just feeling uncomfortable in conversations I wouldn't expect to.
I would agree. You know, when something comes up, it's not so much being uncomfortable as just feeling like Okay, I'm just not interested. How about-
I know in discussions in like my GSA, it can be hard to like relate. I don't know if this is how does ACE matter here, because ACE definitely.
Oops. We lost Joe.
Gosh darn it, the internet. The junk
Yeah.
shopping.
And now junk shop is junk shopping too.
Oh no.
Oh no.
There. Okay, Joe, you're back.
Oh my gosh, the Wi-Fi just completely cut out. We're having brownouts over here. We've had some bad storms.
Are you in California?
No, I don't really want to talk about where I am, if that's okay.
That's okay.
I
I figured if you were in California, that'd be safe because that's such a huge state.
It's a very big state.
So anyway, what were you saying?
Being able to like talk about attraction a lot in like GSAs can be like hard, and often it's like very much centered around sexual attraction instead of romantic attraction. So yeah, like so support groups can be hard to relate to.
Okay. Cartoon,
anything, Dad?
So I think like the biggest problems I've had really have been around people who unfortunately happen to also be in the LGBT plus spectrum and don't think we should be there. They're like, you can, a lot of it is like sort of, I get a lot of you can pass statements. Like, you can pass as a straight person, so you don't count. I'm like, bi people count, and they're the third letter.
Yeah.
Like, like that spectrum or that acronym we all use, they're the third letter in it, and they count, so I count.
Bi erasure is also a thing.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. There is a lot of infighting in our little clade.
Yeah. We should get to the medicine peddler's question, because that is a good question.
That's where I was going. We got a really good question from Medicine Peddler. And the question is, are there any myths or inaccurate portrayals of ace people that you feel need to be seriously debunked? And I can see Robin just answering this question. So go ahead, Robin.
Okay, so, well, because I think there's kind of two, because whenever this question gets asked, a lot of people immediately go to that a lot of ace people do have sex and do have libido. This is a thing that a lot of ace people do, because but I also think it's equally important to recognize the other end of the scale, that there are ace people that do not have sex and do not have libido. Because I feel like a lot of people do tend to focus on the first, that everyone needs to know that ace people have sex. It's like, some don't. And so I sometimes feel a little awkward there. Make sure
like I've definitely seen a lot more personally of the people who are like, all aces are prudes, and I'm like, except we're not. Like, I can tell dirty jokes with the best of them. I actually have an incredibly, awfully dirty sense of humor, and like I can tell those jokes with like a straight face, no blushing or anything. I don't go, ew, it's talking about sex. I don't do any of that. But it stops when it gets to referring to me. Like, I don't do those things. Like, yeah, like, yes, I have had sex. Yes, I did enjoy it, but I also, for the last 13 years haven't, and I don't mind it. Just saying.
Yeah. Real quick, this is probably the only stream I'm going to ever get to bring this up. There is a burger place that just opened sort of near us in our city called Bad Daddy's Burger Bar. I feel like it just needs to be out into the world.
That is
Terrible
amazing,
name.
and I love it.
Oh, if that's not a gay bar, a gay burger
How
place.
is that not a gay bar?
I mean, is it not? I don't know. Is it? I've never been there. They just opened.
Oh,
I seriously doubt that it is, because we live in the Bible Belt.
Yeah.
And anything gay related is not going to fly around here.
but like seriously, with a name like that, how is that not a gay bar?
Yeah, Bad Daddy's Burger Bar. We only take business through the back door.
Oh dear.
Aunt Claire had an interesting.
One other question for me.
So
I think before that, is it easy being myself with my mom because she's open about her sexuality? I mean, sort of. I'm kind of the one who introduced her to the idea of being ace, so a bit, yeah. Though I'm still slightly more embarrassed a lot of the time.
Can I just make one quick call out?
Go ahead.
On Jer. Yes, I do like the GRSM acronym way better. I really, really, really do. But the reason I wasn't using it on this stream was because I didn't know how many people had been made aware of the GRSM acronym. So
yeah, it's pretty new.
Big fan.
I'm not. What is GRSM?
GRSM stands for Gender, Sexual, and Romantic Minorities. So it's an acronym I was made aware of by a YouTuber called Dear Mr. Atheist. He since changed his YouTube channel, but he was the one that sort of raised my awareness of the GRSM acronym as opposed to LGBT.
Okay.
Yeah, I told you about GRSM, Mom.
You did?
I mentioned it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot.
And there's a new question for the panel that we should answer now.
Yep. And are there any places, support groups, or online sites that can help someone dealing with feelings of being rejected by society?
In like an ace way or in like a general way? Though the answer to both is yes.
I'm pretty sure that she means in an ace way, because she's pretty into those kinds of things in general.
Yeah, I know of a few.
Okay.
I'm not part of any, but I've seen them.
So there, it's kind of old school right now, and it's not really great in terms of who owns it, but there are a bunch of groups on Facebook that are really ace positive. There is actually one called the Ace Safe Space. And there's a few, they are using the LGBT acronym groups on there as well that I'm very into. There's also a group that isn't directly LGBT, but it's called Aces Who Love Cats. And they're all really great groups. And if you are looking for a space where you're okay being you, those are really good groups. They're all really friendly.
I've been on a couple asexual subreddits, and they're generally, of course, really friendly. There's ace groups everywhere.
Yeah, the ace. There are two asexual subreddits that I'm aware of on Reddit. The bigger one, because it's like ace and asexual, and I can't remember which one is which offhand, but the bigger one is really friendly, and they're really, really nice.
Yeah, there's also the meme one. I forget what that one was called, but it's basically just for posting I like food instead of sex, and that's a fun one. I got a lot of good memes out of there.
Yeah. And Julie LaVoice, thank you very much. All ace people, I feel, are very happy. Are really, really do like people like you who do include us.
Mm-hmm. It is hard being like because like, how many people are ace? I think I saw that it's like 1%, like less than 1% of.
I saw one that it was like, there was one study that said it was almost 7%. Like it was still like I can't recall the study offhand, but I swear I saw it recently that there. But it was more one of the ones that said that like that it was part of this like the spectrum of ace, constituted 7%.
That probably makes more sense because I learned that in like a psychology class, so it might have been using stricter definitions.
Yeah.
Like,
I wish I could remember the study because I hate saying numbers without being able to back them up off like.
Oh, same.
It was like a big personal no for me.
Be like that one comedian, I forget his name, but he made a really good stand-up routine on gun violence, and then later he used all these facts and statistics, and he came back later, like on his next stand-up show, and was like, "I made all those up, by the way."
I do love it when people just sort of like glom onto numbers, and then you can just like a 3-second Google search and prove them wrong. I'm just like, guys, like put a little more effort into your numbers.
Medicine Peddler, it was Jim Jeffries. Remember to say this. Don't know why I love his comedy. It's good to listen to it as background noise.
Okay.
Is Joe gone? Joe gonna stay gone?
What'd you say?
So can we get Joe back?
Yeah, Joe isn't
here
for a while.
I don't know if Joe lost her internet or it was having internet difficulties, but Joe kind of just disappeared. And Aunt Jer says 23% of all statistics are made up. I've always said 76.
I think I might agree with you, Godless Granny.
And it doesn't matter what number you say because it's made up.
Pretty much, yeah. But I feel like Godless Granny is a little closer to the truth.
Yeah. I'm gonna Google it. I want to see what percentage it comes up with for what percentage of statistics are made up.
Okay, well, we've done biggest misconceptions about being ace. What is something
73.6
about
of statistics
right.
are made up? That is apparently the number.
What is something that you would like everybody out there to know about being ace from your perspective, your experience, what have you?
For me, what I would like them to know is that when you start talking about a lot of sex and making a lot of sex jokes, I'm not offended. It doesn't bother me. I'm perfectly fine with it. But I'm also just not interested, and so I'm likely to be sitting back and being quiet. And it's not that I'm offended or anything's wrong with it. I'm just, it's not my cup of tea.
One sec, I'm responding to Sai.
Okay. How about you, Cartoon?
For me, I think it really is like my biggest thing that I would want somebody to know is that I'm probably not the person you should be sending your I edit for some people. Like one of the upteen thousand things I do is I'll edit like manuscripts for people. And if you're asking about that, like I understand the mechanics of it, but I'm not going to be able maybe there are aces out there who are really good at this, but me personally, I am terrible at editing sex scenes. And please stop sending those to me because I just don't get them. Like, I understand the mechanics, but it all reads as bad literature to me. That's just who I am, and I'm sorry. But the surrounding world, like that, if there is anything on earth that is my kink, that is my kink. Like, I love world building. So like all that stuff is like everything I want to know.
Yeah, I can barely stand reading it through like briefly in fan fiction as I scroll over, as I skip over the sex scenes to get back to the cute cuddling romance bits. Oh,
Yeah.
I can't imagine him sending it to me, being like, "Can you edit this?"
Well, like, because I was an English major in college, of all things, and that was a great choice. So because I had these aspirations of being a writer one day, and that didn't quite work out the way I thought it would. So because I have this background and I'm a little bit of a grammar obsessive person when it comes to the written word, people are like, "Oh, you are good at this here." And I'm like, "No, please stop."
Okay. I guess one other thing I would add, as you mentioned, that is, I hear people talk about, dick pics, guys that send dick pics, and I'm like,
Makes no sense to me.
Pictures of their dicks, and I just,
Why?
Like my
that's
entire
how I feel.
response to that is why.
Exactly. Why? Why would anyone find that attractive?
That's not just an Ace thing. That confuses the heck out of me too.
Nobody
That's reassuring.
Nobody understands them. No, I don't think anyone in the history of forever has just gotten a picture from someone they've never seen and never even talked to before and just been like, yes, I do want to continue this intellectually stimulating conversation.
Well, actually, we were talking about that in a different stream, and it came up that there are some people that do respond to that, and they're usually people who are desperate for attention. And it's not so much that they were attracted to the picture as they were attracted to the fact that somebody paid attention to them. And they are just so starved for attention that they'll respond to something like that.
I like. Now, granted, this is probably the like peak Ace thing coming through. Like, I don't think I could ever be starved enough for attention that getting a dick pic would make me happy. Like,
oh yeah, no. I mean, I'd want to engage with it, but that'd just be because I would want to make fun of the sender. Just like, what brought you to this point in your life?
Okay, that I would definitely do, because again, I have an absolutely horrific sense of humor, and that would bring me no end of joy.
And just what brought you to this point in your life? Because I'm shy enough that I don't interact with anyone. If someone is starting the conversation like that, I'd be like, "Hello."
Like, let's get super awkward really quick. I am down for this now.
Yeah. Oh my God. It reminds me of this guy. I think it was a band camp or something, and this guy came over and sat at a table with me and some friends of mine, and we didn't know him, and he kept kind of glancing back at his friends, so we kind of thought that he had been sent over on a dare. So I decided to make him feel uncomfortable, and I just turned to him and went, "So, what's your feelings on politics?" We were
Oh no.
He went, I find myself generally leaning sort of Democratic, though quite conservative. What's your feelings on gay marriage? And that is the most attracted I've ever felt to someone. Oh, I wish I could have been friends longer with that guy. That was the best response.
That is a really great way of if you're just not in the mood to play, like really weeding out the weirdos, like just like, okay, let's get into the deep weeds real quick.
Yeah. My main thing on Ace is I always feel like one of my favorite things is when a conversation gets really uncomfortable for me, and I mention it, and everyone immediately is like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, we can backtrack up this. Like, do you watch this?" And it just makes me feel so happy. It's like, oh my gosh, because I always feel like someone's gonna be like, "Shut up! Don't ruin the party. If you don't like it, just don't read it." And because I have had some people be sort of like that with other things, but being Ace, I haven't gotten that yet. So nice.
Yeah, I always feel so awkward. Like if I'm like, no, like it's like 10,000 levels of awkward when you're like, this conversation is making me feel awkward, and they try desperately to backtrack, and they're just like, and it just make it worse. It's like, great, now I feel even more awkward. Thanks.
Yeah.
If you're wondering why I got so excited, there's somebody in the chat. Her name is Elisa Schrock, and she is an old friend from when we used to live in another state, and we have not seen her for years. And so it is just so nice to see Elisa here. Welcome, Elisa.
Yeah, we've sort of tried to keep in contact occasionally. Once a year, one of us will contact the other and be like, "Hey, you still alive?" And be like, "Yeah." Hopefully it lasts longer this time.
I'll keep my fingers crossed for you guys.
Yeah.
Hey, Santi the Sane is here. Hello, Santi. Welcome. Anybody else have any questions for the panel? Otherwise, we can just kind of talk about, the Supreme Court ruling with regards to LGBTQ rights. That you cannot fire someone for being the sexual orientation they are. Although I don't think that asexual has ever been an issue for anybody.
Like asexuals really only get discrimination most of the time from the LGBT community. A lot of Christians and straight people do not care.
I've had a couple instances where that hasn't quite been the case. Mostly like well-meaning relatives and like people who are trying to set me up with people. Like once I have to explain to them like, no, really, this will never work. And they're like, no, they're a really great guy. I'm like, no, you don't understand. This will not work. I have no attraction to anybody. And they all of a sudden like get very awkward. It's like I had somebody, because after one of these had happened, I went online and was complaining about this having happened, and somebody who I wish I could remember who they were, but said something on the line of it's like trying to explain to somebody that you can see a color they can't. And
shout out to
and like
who is colorblind in the chat.
Oh, or trying to explain like there was somebody else who was like saying like it's like being anosmic, which is like the inability to smell, like which I actually know some people who are anosmic, and those poor souls have to deal with so many people like going like, what do you mean you can't smell? Like, no, they can't smell. Like, you're not going to be able to explain this to them.
Who didn't have the ability to like imagine things, pretty much. Like he can't really like imagine things in his head, which is, I forget what the condition name is called, but he got some good speeches out of it, which was fun. And
poor guy.
Yeah, I feel bad for that guy. That guy probably saw. Oh, and another guy who in the same speech class, he was British, and he did an entire speech on how a lot of people when they meet him just walk up to him and go, "Say something."
Oh jeez.
British, say something in your British accent.
No. I love Math Pig's accent. I could listen to Math Pig all day. He's Irish.
Yes, so we love Irish accents. Actually, I went to Ireland a few years ago, and it was one of those moments where I was just like, I'm just going to soak this in.
Okay, well, I think we've had a really good discussion, and I think a lot of people have gotten a much better idea of what it means to be asexual. And I think we've gotten some love from some of the LGBTQ community, and it's nice to see that we might be moving to the GRSM community instead, which will be a little bit more inclusive of us. If there's anyone else that has any more questions before we wrap up, we will gladly take those. Otherwise, I'm going to let everyone, show for themselves a little bit.
Also, Carter said it's called aphantasia, which is correct. I forgot the name, but thank you. I'm bad with names. Have you noticed?
I saw that there. I didn't know what it meant. What's
It's the thing that I mentioned when you can't imagine things.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I wonder if people like that dream.
I should have asked him that. I made a joke to him because I had a problem with too much imagination causing hallucinations, and I was like, "Do you want to trade?"
Or maybe even it out, like, you know, he gets half.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
Okay, so junk shop, what have you got coming up?
Let's see. Today is Tuesday, so we've got my next atheist Bible study tomorrow afternoon, 2 Central, 3 Eastern, 8 UK, 9 p.m. Denmark. And then that should be it for the week.
Okay, very good. And Cartoon Contrarian, you are working on getting a channel up?
Yes, the channel exists, but
Okay.
it doesn't have any videos on it yet. I am working on a couple videos, but my getting all of the programs and everything together that I need in order to edit the video, and also dealing with the fact that I do actually have a 9-to-5 is getting in the way. But
Yeah.
and also the move. Like, I wish I was kidding, but like maybe I can, like, that's my work computer and it's still in bubble wrap. So it's taking a while.
Okay. And hello, Epileptic Skeptic. It's nice to have
you show up. Any questions before we wrap up and you have to restart the stream?
That's a great name, by the way.
Epileptic Skeptic. Yeah. Yeah. Were there any more questions? Let's see.
Yes, please ask away.
Some more compliments that are really nice. I love the thank you for being open about your experience and helping us understand, because that is really important.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You need more voices to speak up, or else nobody will.
Right. Yeah, just trying to get together a panel of aces was difficult. I invited, 10 people. And even finding them was rather difficult. There's, Cartoon, you mentioned that there's some groups on Facebook, and I guess I'm not sure if I looked there or not, but I didn't find what I was looking for. I mostly went searching for groups on Twitter, and I did find a couple, but messages that I sent to the groups didn't get any responses. So, oh well. So Robin, do you have anything going on in the near future? I know it's not going to be anything that's.
I was like, I'm not a content creator.
I know,
but I was just wondering that I'm attempting to make with your computer.
You have something big coming up in your life, though.
I do?
Yeah. In a couple weeks, you're moving to your first apartment.
Oh, yeah, that. I was like, what are you talking about?
Oh, I loved moving into my first apartment. It was so nice having like a space that was genuinely just mine.
Yeah, well, I kind of had that in my dorm because we kind of were. I never saw my roommates, so I was basically just all alone, and that was nice. Though it'll be nice to have a kitchen.
That's nice. One of my roommates was like that. I think I saw her like 3 times.
And I have a video coming out in a couple of days. Usually by the time I get it finished, I publish to my patrons usually on Thursday. And so it usually comes out on Friday. This one is huge because this is, I am awarding it the worst sermon ever. And
is it one of Pastor Anderson's?
No.
Oh,
but it is one of Pastor Anderson's cronies. It's one from another one of the NIFB churches.
Sorry.
But one of the things, when I was looking for what I was going to put together for this week, one of the first things I did do was go and look at Pastor Anderson's, and all but 4 of his sermons have been taken down. I don't know if he took them down himself or if YouTube took them down, but yes, all but 4 of his sermons are down.
Oh,
YouTube did
to
just
utterly
do
deplatform that man would like just make my year.
YouTube did do like a massive like purge of alt-right stuff recently, so that could have had something to do with it.
Yes, and I think that is what I think that's exactly what happened. The only thing I'm not sure of is whether he got a warning and took it down himself, or if they took it down for him.
I don't think he doesn't seem like the type to take a warning particularly seriously.
I think you're right. Yeah, I just didn't want to speak for him either, and make the absolute statement that YouTube took it down, and then find out that no, they didn't. So that's why I keep saying it could be one or the other.
I feel like it would show a level of self-awareness that I don't think he possesses.
I think you're right.
Real quick, I should mention Julie was kind of concerned that we're not paying enough attention to Eris, who is my very close friend Zai in real life. Zai knows that I am staring at his comments aggressively because that is what I do. So don't worry, Zai will get all the attention that they need. We will continue to stare.
Zai will be one of.
Are hard to talk about.
Zai will be one of Robin's roommates when Robin moves into his new apartment.
So happy. That'll be fun.
Yep.
Oh, Stefan Molyneux also is out apparently.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh, yay.
Oh, wow.
That is something else that gives me inordinate amounts of joy.
Yeah, that's really interesting as well. Wow. Okay. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you to everyone in the chat who came to listen. And I'm really happy to have been able to share this. And on Contrarian, we are going to have to keep in touch. And next year for Pride Month, I'll see about putting together a bigger panel. I'll get started on it sooner. Unfortunately, I just came up with the idea for doing this about 4 days ago, and that's why I kind of put it all together last minute to try to get it done before the end of the month. So I'll try to have a little bit more lead time and put together a bigger panel next year.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I had a blast, and if you want to have me next year, I'd be more than happy to be there.
Okay, wonderful. And we look forward to seeing what you have on your channel when it comes up.
Truth be told, so do I.
And Junk Shop, thank you so much for coming to moderate.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
And Robin, it's always a pleasure to have you.
Yep, because I am the easiest to get. Can always guarantee that even if I'm doing something, you can just ground me and be like, get over here. I need you on stream. You're grounded now.
Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us, and you all have a wonderful day and live your life. Bye.
Bye. Love that outro.